Hello, my name is Nigel Maynard, editor-in-chief of Drugstore News, and welcome back to our ongoing series where we talk to thought leaders about the important issues facing retail pharmacy. Today I'm speaking to Tony Clapsis, who is the Senior Vice President of Clinical Trial Services at CVS. Tony, how are you?
I'm well, Nigel. Good morning.
Good morning. I think the most obvious question for us to start today is, most people don't think of retail pharmacy getting involved in clinical trial services, but why is CVS doing this and why now?
Nigel, so we've actually been involved for over 10 years, but to your point, I think in a way that maybe broadly folks weren't necessarily aware of. But what I'd say the why now and why the real focus is really the question of the kind of problem we're trying to solve and the role that retail pharmacy and retail clinics can really play in solving it. So COVID, I think, really helped broadly, our members, our consumers, but really the public understand the importance and the value of clinical research, but also highlighted some of the core and longstanding challenges within the execution of that research. Mm-hmm. Most Americans have never been offered the opportunity to participate in a clinical trial. On average, it could take 2 hours to actually get to a site, which oftentimes is not located in ways that are really kind of convenient for members. And third, really the challenges in health equity, similar to other parts of healthcare, but in many ways deeper and more intractable. There's been real challenges in getting diverse participants into research. Well, in COVID, beyond awareness, I think you had real deep interest and sustained engagement from pharmaceutical and device manufacturers, the NIH and the FDA, in taking bigger, bolder, and more focused steps to really address that. So where do we come in? Well, one, we have the ability to bring those research opportunities to members as part of their healthcare journey and their healthcare lives. So over the last year since we've launched, we've actually helped engage almost 20 million members and helped enroll over 20,000 across a range of clinical trials. And in many cases, those are members who've never even been offered the opportunity or had the awareness of how to participate. The second, though, is how do we really make research easier to participate? And if you think of how closely most Americans live to a CVS, we have the ability to really run research in their homes, virtually, and in their communities in ways that meet their needs in their lives. And lastly, I think as we do that, there's a real opportunity to increase the diverse participation in research. To date, over 40% of the enrollment we've helped drive has been of non-Caucasian members. It's been really important to ensure we address, I think, that longstanding issue.
And so I imagine that these strategies then help you overcome those challenges of making sure you have patients from diverse backgrounds?
They do. And it's, to be clear, a collaborative effort with manufacturers and community partners. But absolutely, I think where CVS sits in the community, the trusted relationship we have with our members gives us, I think, a natural ability to bring them an opportunity to participate in ways, again, that I think reinforce and build on that level of trust. And to be clear, it's going to take a lot of work, right? So we're really excited by the early success, but we're also working with and having conversations with HBCUs about how to partner in specific communities, and also how to really deepen the relationship we have with community groups that have trusted and deep relationships with members in the communities that we actually look to serve. So it's going to take an all the above. It's not just the ability to reach the member and build on the relationship we have, but it's also how we can further embed ourselves in the communities we seek to serve and really, again, bring that level of trust up.
I'm curious, what goes into determining what kinds of trials you intend to undertake?
So Nigel, there's really two ways to answer that. One's going to be ways in which we can recruit members and participants for clinical research. So think of it loosely as probably 15 to 20 therapeutic areas. We'll work with manufacturers and oftentimes with regulators as well around priority areas of interest. And essentially, we can help match patients based on their health needs and their health status to trials that they may that are fits for them, right, and their kind of healthcare needs. So think of that as very broad-based.
Yeah.
When we're running trials, it's actually a little bit more specific because it's really about being able to deliver a trial fully in the community. So certain therapeutic areas like vaccines naturally lend themselves to that. And we've done a lot of really great work, a number of studies early on to develop some of those proof points. When you get into oncology, it's a little trickier. You're likely not going to see oncology trials in a retail clinic setting. That said, manufacturers are deeply interested in how we can actually help expand access, to cancer trials for patients, but also for a lot of visits. If you think of an oncology trial that could last as long as 10 years, year 3 to 10, you're often having follow-up visits and kind of vital signs. So really interesting conversations around how does a retail clinic really help provide that long-term support, to a member going through an oncology trial in a way in which also helps sponsors, I think, meet some of their needs.
So can you talk about some successes you've had so far with your trials? Maybe one or two?
Absolutely. So from a recruitment perspective, I'd say kind of broad-based. It's been around 20 to 21,000 members that we've really kind of helped enroll. One of the earliest efforts was frankly during COVID, when we got started, which was really a focus around increasing equity in some of the COVID vaccine trials. We had some really strong work with one of the manufacturers to the point where the NIH actually brought all their institute directors to hear about the work, which was a really humbling and a really exciting opportunity for us to share, how that work could really expand into other therapeutic areas as well.
Okay.
There's another vaccine trial we actually launched in the Southeast in Georgia, where we've been able to, I think, open up 6 sites at this point to help enroll in this tough vaccine study in a really critical disease area. We're actually going to be sharing some of that work with the sponsor, hopefully in the next few weeks as well.
So finally today, what's next for your child services, and what could be a disease state that's ripe for clinical trials?
I would say almost any disease state has the ability to be run partly or wholly in the community. So vaccines, derm, a few other categories naturally lend themselves early to doing it in a broad way. But I think the vision is really to expand steadily into almost every therapeutic area, but be able to provide, again, either that satellite or community presence that makes that trial easier for members to participate in and ultimately deliver kind of higher outcome data. So we've done vaccine work, cardiovascular, immunology, dermatology, and there's really a steady progression to kind of expand that and really reinforce the confidence in our ability to execute, but frankly, the role that pharmacy and retail clinics can play in really driving research sort of into community settings.
Okay, great. Tony Clapsis, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Nigel, thank you. Have a great day.